Hi, class. This week, we're going to start by speaking about budgets and financial management techniques, specifically credit. Um, Budgets are an integral component of overall financial planning. Um, a lot of people don't take the necessary time to map out their own operating budget. Um, they have no idea how many expenses they have from month to month, certainly with their income situations, um, and then their inner traits, which or inner factors, or um, micro factors, which are their current situations specific to them, family, their age, so forth and so on, compared to macro factors, which are more in the economic realm. And certainly everything going on in the country right now, specifically COVID-19, and several individuals, whether they've been laid off from jobs, having to deal with unemployment. It's been a nightmare for numerous individuals. So budgets are something that is of utmost significance, not only during normal times, but absolutely under these unprecedented times in our lifetime. Um, I guess we can start there, and then we'll move into the financial management aspect of this week. So, budgets are something that um, are thought of as being minuscule in nature by several people. However, they are a prominent aspect in the grand scheme of personal financial planning and management. Um, when you read in your book this week, you're going to learn about an operating budget, and so your operating budget should include your family situation, whether it's yourself and being single, whether you are married and it's you and your spouse, um, whether you have kids, how many, what's their ages. All those things factor into it. Your career, are you employed, or are you unemployed, or are you switching jobs? Do you work full time, or are you part time? How many jobs do you have? Your career choice, or are you transitioning, or are you fixated? And then your age, because we'll learn a little bit later on in the course about retirement, and so your horizon to retirement is going to have some type of factor as well in your budget, compared to your discretionary income. So general rule of thumb with budgets is to always overestimate your expenses, and typically to underestimate your earnings. And so the logic behind this is that you don't overinflate your earnings to what your expenses are, because when you do that, you get into the trap of thinking you're earning more, and you have this thought process that you have excess money, excess reserves to play around with and do whatever with. And then when the inevitable happens, which is always, you get to a point when your discretionary income continues to kind of chart in a positive trajectory, you can fall into this false sense of, hey, I have more money, I have more funds, let me do more things with it. I'm not saying you should never divulge or treat yourself. I think we all are entitled to those items and those things. However, when you do that, it's inevitable that something will arise, whether it's to an extreme, such as being laid off, or you have an appliance breakdown and you have to come up with several $100s to fix it, or do you just go out and buy a new one? And so these are all things that factor into budgets. And so the more you get into the habit now of knowing what your budget is, what your specific situation is with those micro factors, and then also examining the macro factors to the overall economy outside of your situation, the better off you'll be. So I want you guys, what you should take from just a budget is take some time to get a pen, get some paper, and write down what your income is, and the sources of it, your net amount of those earnings. And so after taxes, what are you left with, whether that's weekly, whether it's twice a month, whether it's monthly. And so you have that income amount. From there, take the time to go through an exhaustive list of all of your expenses, whether you're paying for them or whether it's you and your spouse or you and your partner paying for them. Just go through them. Some examples of these are mortgage payment, gas, utilities, water and sewer, daycare, food, credit card payments, loan payments, things of these natures. And so after you go through and jot down all of these expenses, you're going to be left with, in essence, a new net income amount, or what I like to call discretionary income, which is the amount of money you have left over after paying your bills each month. And really look at that number, and that'll tell you how much money you have that you can either A, put into savings, and a retirement account, put into stocks to invest, or just to put into another account, or let it ride into your checking account, which we're going to be transitioning into very shortly. But this amount will let you know, hey, this is what my operating budget looks like. This is how much money left over each month I have. So if you have $500 left over monthly after all of your bills are paid for and accounted for, you can say, okay, I can invest or I can save X amount. Say out of that 500, you might choose 300 or 350, every check or every month. And then the rest of it, you might say, well, if I decide to move 350 out of the 500, well, what do I want to do with this 150? Do I want to put 100 into staying in my checking account, and then 50 is discretionary income, whether it's to go see a movie, go see a ball game, buy something for myself, whatever the case may be. And so you're a little bit better equipped, better aware of handling situations should they arise. Shifting gears to the financial management aspect, specifically credit. It can be agreed that in the world of personal financial planning, that credit is a supreme component. Everything begins and ends with credit. The more you can build your credit rating, your credit score, the more opportunities and lines of credit will become available to you. It takes time. It does not happen overnight. But it begins and ends with it. What do you hope to accomplish? So there's different aspects that go into this. How you manage your money, how you manage your cash. How do you balance your checkbook? Do you balance a checkbook? Do you know how to? How do you deal with deposits and withdrawals? How often do you go to the bank for these items in these situations? Using your cash and how to manage it goes to great lengths for certain individuals. Myself, what I do personally is I have gotten into the habit of every couple of days, I just log into my online checking account, make sure that there's no fraudulent situations arising. I'm making sure that there's no purchases made that somebody could have hacked into my account. And I do this for a number of reasons. I do it, one, just to have peace of mind. I do it, two, to make sure that my checkbook that I have balanced is in line with what the online is showing. And then I'll cross-reference that to credit card accounts and saving accounts and making sure that everything is lining up appropriately. That's not for everybody. certainly I believe to be in the minority in that segment, but I highly urge all of you to get into the habit of doing so. If you do have a checking account, get into the habit of, if you know your balance and it's in your checkbook, and say your checkbook has $1,500 in it, that's what your checking account shows. And then, you go a couple of days, say 3 days, but over the course of those 3 days, you withdrew $20 to get a haircut. You purchased, Starbucks coffee, say another $5. And then let's say you had to stop in at the store and you bought, an energy drink and a bag of chips for $6. So if you add up the 20, the 5, and the 6, right there you're looking at $31. And so, in your checkbook, you just go in and you write down each of these 3 purchases, what days they accumulated, what the transaction was, and you deduct it from that $1,500. And so in this case, you'd be at $1,469 left over. That's what you should be showing. So check that bank account, check your online bank, log into it, make sure those purchases show up, make sure that they match, and then make sure that your online bank account statement shows what's reflected in your checkbook. If it does, great. That's what you want, obviously. If it doesn't, or if the amounts are off, make sure that you get it situated right away. Situation could arise where you go to a fast food restaurant and you pay with your debit card. And let's say your food was for, $8. But if you don't get in the habit of checking your online checking account and you log in, say, 2 weeks from now or a month from now, well, you went maybe to one fast food restaurant, but then you notice a random $2 here, $3 there for, a convenience store, and it's somewhere that you don't frequent. Well, it could be a situation where a worker at the fast food restaurant took down your digits for your card and just got lucky with your PIN number. And so credit card companies are a little bit more lenient on helping you with those situations versus your debit card, which is linked to your checking account. So that's another reason why you should check and the accuracy of your checkbook every couple of days. Certainly getting onto your online bank account every couple of days to reconcile those items. The need to understand your wants and your needs in finance and financing certain purchases is significant. There are certain items that can be purchased outright with your checking account, with your debit card. Small item purchases. You might say, hey, look, for fast food or small little minute things, I'm going to use my debit card. And look, I'm no stranger to this. I do this myself. So most of the time when it's fast food or coffee from Starbucks or any other coffee place, I'll use my debit card. For larger items though, for gas, for bills, I do use my credit card. Now, using a credit card with fast food comes into play or anything else, I might switch it up depending on cashback options for that month. And so I might, because of the percentage back, decide to use my credit card because you can earn more money. Make your money work for you. Okay? And certainly larger appliance purchases, you get it on the credit card and things of that nature. But you might be faced with a situation where you have loan financing that comes into play. So you might need furniture. And this furniture might total $3,000. Well, you might not have $3,000 to just blow from your checking account. I don't know anybody that has just $3,000 that they can withdraw from their checking account for a furniture purchase, or would they? They may not have a credit card to finance that on their credit card. And so the other alternative is to get financing from the furniture company. Well, they're going to run your credit. And depending on your credit rating, your credit score, it depends on the amount of financing you can get. The worst case in that regard would be to get denied because your credit rating is not up to par. And so then you have to delay the furniture purchase. You have to look for other furniture that may not fit for you, that you may need more. And so learning and understanding how your credit score, your credit rating affects these purchases is instrumental. Again, it takes time. It does not happen overnight. Most oftentimes, these credit agencies look at the length of time on file. You know, how many years have you been in the credit bureaus? Do you pay on time, or you're late? What types of credit do you have? Is it revolving, such as a credit card? Do you have loans and a credit card? How long is it taking you to pay off those different things? Do you have a car? Do you have a mortgage? And so the different types of credit that you have in your report does wonders for increasing your score, as well as making those payments on time. When you look at credit cards, look at the credit card features. Cashback bonus is a big one. Do you get higher percentages back based on certain purchases throughout 2 or 3 month periods? Again, learning to make that money work for you can do wonders. And saving that money, what's the APR? What's the yearly interest on it, if there is one? Discover is a great credit card to start out with because they don't have a yearly interest amount. American Express does. What I mean by this is that, say you have a Discover card and you have a Amex card. Well, you could go an entire year, say May 2020, you paid off both your Discover balance and your American Express balance. And you go an entire year without putting any charges on that card. The difference in that aspect and that feature in each credit card is that each month you won't have an interest charge for Discover. American Express, you will. Yearly, you're going to have a quote-unquote subscription charge for the American Express one. Discover, you won't. However, the percentage back is greater with American Express and might have a little bit higher credit line. Discover might be lower, and so forth and so on. What's the ability to increase the credit line? Do they offer you a free credit score each month? Do they have the ability to sign up for fraud alerts? These are all features that should be accounted for when deciding on credit cards to obtain, should you want to obtain one. With credit cards, one other little note is if you've had difficulty with credit cards, once you do pay off the balance, I highly advise never close it out, because that could negatively and inversely affect your credit score, believe it or not. So rule of thumb on that is, if you don't want to use the card or you don't want to have it, just keep it open. And then if you know that you'll never use it again, instead of closing it out, take a pair of scissors, chop it up. And that way you're not going to use it. But it keeps it open in the credit bureau, because that'll be a positive for your credit score. So these are just some of the items within financial management, credit specifically. And so that'll be this week, focusing on those two areas and those two components. If you guys have any issues with it, or you have any questions or concerns with anything you come across in the text or the PowerPoints, please reach out to me. Please let me know. I look forward to working with you again. Good luck with this week.